How did I get a free promotional German-style beer mug? This gun in my hand.
Do you need me to set this up? Do you really care what the weather was like, the time of day it happened, the location? It's either inside Parabellum City or just outside the city limits. Then the same old one-line summary of the protagonist. Inescapable hero by virtue of the fact that he carries a gun, Falk Zildjian is doing what he always does, no matter the location or time of day, come rain or snow or glaring sunshine. He's trading fire with somebody on Gazpacho Boulevard.
Hold it! Hold it! Let's see if we can talk this out. If you have a problem, maybe I can help.
What would you help me with, Zildjian?
This gun in my hand.
I don't need that kind of help.
Sorry, it's just a reflex. I'll help you with or without my gun.
Fine, we'll have a ceasefire. Say your piece.
Hey, make up your mind. Are we going to have a ceasefire or just a temporary pause so you can regroup and shoot at me when you have a better opportunity?
Nobody would use the term ceasefire if that's what they meant.
You'd be surprised.
Anyway, I did cease firing. Those shots you're hearing now are from a firefight 2 blocks away.
Great. After I wrap this up, I'll have to go settle that situation.
No, they're recording a radio show. They wanted to get an echo sound like gunfire in a canyon, so they stuck the microphone on the sidewalk between tall buildings and started firing in the air.
Oh, good. This was all a misunderstanding. Are you one of the Foley artists trying to record that? Sorry, I thought you were firing at me.
I'm not a Foley artist. I am firing at you, because I submitted 18 different scripts for this gun in my hand, and you rejected all of them.
Well, don't shoot me. Shoot my business manager, Gary. Don't shoot Gary either. Look, if you want to be a writer, you have to develop a thick skin and expect a lot of rejections on the road to getting published.
But 18 rejections? That's just from you, not counting all the other radio shows I've submitted to.
I've heard of writers who papered the walls of their office with rejection letters before they went on to fame and wealth. Household names, even.
Name one.
There's the horror writer, Stephen no, I shouldn't mention him. Well, there's no, horrible example. Oh, of course, there was Vladimir Nabokov. No, you wouldn't know him. Well, I'm sure you've heard of Franz Kafka or Emily Dickinson. Almost completely rejected during their lifetimes, but their poems and stories are considered classics now.
You want me to leave a trunk full of stories that get published after I die? I should gamble on having a friend or relative outlive me who will relentlessly push it on publishers until somebody recognizes my brilliance and publishes my work after it's too late? No thanks.
Don't get excited. Why don't you tell me your hero name? Is it the Scripter or the Black Pen, the Red Quill?
I'm just a writer. Why would I give myself a hero name?
It's Parabellum City. It's what we do. What about a pen name, then?
I'm such a hack, I can't even come up with a good pen name. I sign my stories using my real name, Harold Conestoga.
Have we met before? I remember some other hothead complaining about his stories or novels getting rejected.
No, that was a guy called Captain in episode 59.
Right. How could I forget? That was the debut of Catch 2022. I don't want to sound harsh, but what makes you think you're cut out to be a writer? Did you win a contest in school? Have you had some partial success?
I've come close to getting my scripts produced on cowboy shows. I think they hear my last name Conestoga and they figure I know about the Wild West. That gets my foot in the door. I had one script accepted by the producer of Gun Doctor. I showed up at the studio to hear them broadcast it live, but they used somebody else's script. The producer that liked mine had been sacked. The new guy they replaced him with didn't want it.
That sounds like a tough break.
Other than that, my only writing credit has been additional dialogue for the Roan Ranger's faithful Canadian companion, Toronto. They wanted a Canadian writer to nail his Toronto accent and his foreign turns of phrase. I'm from Vancouver, and they said that's close enough.
Well, there you go. You have a credit on a radio show already. That's farther than some people make it. You just need to keep at it. Tell me this, did you get any constructive feedback in those rejection letters?
A little bit, but it didn't seem to help. For example, I thought I had a pretty good story for the Dapper Hacienda.
Sure, I know that one. The radio series about a frontier haberdasher.
Right. Well, Roberto Altman is the director of the Dapper Hacienda, and he has this odd style of dialogue I couldn't get a handle on.
How is it odd?
In most radio shows or movies, one person will say a few lines, then the other person says lines, and back and forth like that.
How else would you do it?
Altman says in real life, people don't always conveniently stop speaking for each other. They interrupt or talk over each other, which
Well,
makes
that's
sense
silly.
in a way.
Each
I just
character
don't
might be
understand
saying
how to
something
write it in the
important,
script.
but you wouldn't be able
And
to
when I
hear
listen to
either
the
of them
shows,
because
it's
you
hard to
can't
understand
focus
what
on
people
them.
are saying
Only rude
sometimes
people do that
because
in
you
real
have two
life.
or three people
But I guess
saying
having
different
rude
things.
characters is realistic.
So I gave up submitting stories for his show. I've been depressed lately.
You should count your blessings. If they're using your additional dialogue on the Roan Ranger, you're halfway there.
I'm not depressed about the rejections. I'm depressed about politics and war. I want to write something about the terrible events that are happening around the world today, but I'm stuck writing old-timey Western shows, so I can't directly write about current events. It feels wrong to make up stories about silly gunfights 50 years ago while authoritarian figures are taking power and civilians are getting massacred as we speak.
I know exactly what you mean, but there's nothing wrong with a little escapism. People want to forget their troubles. Some of them need a break before they can tackle those serious problems.
You don't think people use escapism to escape permanently, so they can ignore what's happening around them?
I don't know. But there are ways you can sneak controversial political topics or current events into fiction, even if it's set in the past. That British writer, Roderick Surley, always does it on his weird radio show, The Tea Light Zone. You just need to think of events from 50 or 100 years ago that are analogous to what's happening today. Show how those events were horrible and how you think good people react when those things happen. Then let the audience make the connection with similar events that are happening today.
I don't trust listeners to make that connection on their own. They just don't get the message.
You have to hit them over the head with it sometimes. Make sure you don't water down the message with 2 or 3 subplots. Your story about dictators or fascists or authoritarian leaders gaining control should trump any lesser storylines within the episode. They'll get it. No reasonable listener could say they did not see that coming.
What about the massacre of thousands of civilians that's going on right now? The attackers claim it's in self-defense, but their responses are way out of proportion.
I don't know. It's hard to argue those details when you're using analogies with the past. The propaganda from militaristic nations is so powerful and well-funded. Hard to compete with that.
Maybe not. Our radio shows get a little money from advertisers. That could help. Like one of your sponsors this week, Palace Manufacturing Amalgamated, makers of fine flatware, tableware, and cutlery. They're giving away a deluxe German-style beer mug with every purchase of a 4-piece place setting of dishes, bowls, saucers, and stainless steel utensils. And everyone knows the quality of finely crafted Palace brand products.
Sure, you can't help seeing their posters and newspaper advertisements all around town, with their slogan for the German mug promotion. Free Palestine. Anyway, what were we talking about?
I don't remember. Propaganda? Civilian massacres?
This gun in my hand is also brought to you by Free Fire Zone Security. Is your home safe? I mean really safe. Do you live in a frightening neighborhood where strangers brazenly walk down the sidewalk in front of your home as if they own the place? People who look suspicious. The wrong kind of people. Even if you live in a decent neighborhood, how well do you know those who live next door? Can you ever really know a person? Sure, good old Charlie Gerber loaned you his reel mower, but have you seen the covetous way he looks in your window? How can you be sure he won't cut the glass out of your kitchen window some night, climb over the sink, and creep upstairs to your bedroom with a knife in his teeth? You can never be sure. Well, the best defense is a good offense, and that's where Free Fire Zone Security comes in. With Free Fire Zone Security, there's no equipment to install and no guards loitering about your home or place of business. What we offer is a simple strategy or technique you can learn. First, tell your neighbor that you can't be sure whether they are harboring criminals.
But it's me, Charlie.
He might say.
What proof do you have that anyone in my house is a criminal?
That's just the kind of thing a criminal would say. Tell him you'll allow him and Gertie and the kids to live in your basement, which has been adequately outfitted for their containment while their house is secured.
What gives you the right?
My fear, all right, Charlie. I can't rest until I can be sure. And anyway, Mrs. Pearson across the way warned us that your house was full of criminals. She wouldn't lie just to get the reward money. After that, you can simply declare the Gerber house a free fire zone. Any holdouts left in the crime house can reasonably be presumed to be criminals, so you can shoot them and deliver their corpses to the police. If you trusted Charlie, you could release him back to his home after that. But do you really want to repeat the process tomorrow? How do you know he won't harbor more criminals as soon as you let your guard down, especially now that he's nursing a grudge against you? Best to keep them contained until you've cleared the neighborhood. Yes, Free Fire Zone Security is the only way to be sure. Call one of our consultants today and ask how to scale up this policy to ensure the security of your town or state or nation. In this instance, the term free only describes the fire at will policy. This is not a service provided without charge. Contrary to what critics say, the Free Fire Zone Security Plan does not violate the Geneva Conventions because it's 1939 and those have not happened yet. We now return to The Hapless Hack of Gazpacho Gulch, episode 119 of This Gun in My Hand.
You've given me some good ideas, Mr. Zildjian, but now I wonder if cowboy shoot-'em-up radio shows are an appropriate medium for discussing serious real-world topics, like fascist takeovers and civilian massacres.
I talked about this situation with Castro in episode 105. Remember what I told him?
I must have missed that one.
I don't really have time to go over it. I'm late for another gunfight. Tell you what you do. Go to the Magnum Radio Building, Studio 60, and ask for Bud. Tell him Falk sent you. He'll dig out episode 105 from the archives and play it for you.
Will he trust me? I could be anybody off the street claiming I know you.
Good point. Give him this bronze bullet.
You fire bronze bullets?
No, I got it from the Roan Ranger, but it'll get you in the door.
Gosh, that's mighty generous of you, especially after I was shooting at you a few minutes ago.
Heck, if I couldn't get along with everybody who'd shot at me, there'd be nobody left in town to get along with. Maybe Wordsmith. He said it was friendly fire.
I'm going up to that studio right now.
Okay, I need to head the other way.
Thanks for your help.
Help. Next time you need to get my attention, a tap on the shoulder would work instead of a bullet. But I'm always happy to help. 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 That's no echo. Who is that? Where are you? It's me, Charlie Gerber, down here in the basement window. I've been kidnapped by my neighbor and imprisoned in his basement. My wife and daughters are down here with me. Please, I'm not a criminal. Also, they blew up my house and others on the street, and the middle school, and the hospital. They've beaten us and forced a broomstick handle up my, Never mind, I don't need further convincing. Only a monster would do this. Unless there was some reason this happened that you're not telling me? He thinks he has good reasons, but they're blown out of proportion. He's had disputes with other people on our street. I think they've come to blows, or possibly shot at each other. But I had nothing to do with that. And basements aren't official jails. He has no official capacity to detain anyone. That's right, he was acting as a vigilante. Well, I wouldn't say all vigilantes are. I mean, not that it would be excusable if he was authorized by some state or nation. That'd be even worse. Not just one jerk kidnapping people and blowing up schools, but a whole country of them who approve that kind of action being taken in their names. Right. Wait a minute, was Bill your neighbor? The one who imprisoned you? Who? Bill Narrator Sr., the guy who just read the commercial for Free Fire Zone Security. I thought his opening narration was a little surly today. And he sounded like he had strong feelings in that ad. Wasn't he talking to you a minute ago? He was just reading the script for the commercial, getting into character. My neighbor who imprisoned us is Leroy Johnson. Good. I didn't think Bill would take part in all this. Leroy says there's a powerful wave coming to separate the decent human beings from the vermin, to keep us apart. He calls it the apartheid. What's that? The analogy is breaking down. It's too heavy. Hurry, Zildjian. It's going to crush the house. I don't want to try shooting off the lock. You push on the window and I'll pull. That's it. Put the girls through the window first. Hurry. That's it. Out we go. Mrs. Gerber, hurry. I hope it's not too tight. I think I can make it. We wouldn't want more bodies under the rubble. What? Never mind. Give me both hands. Just in time. Thanks, Mr. Zildjian. How can we ever repay you? No need for that. Let's just close out the episode. The weight of that thing could pulverize the whole town. The Hapless Hack of Gazpacho Gulch, episode 119 of This Gun in My Hand, was rustled up and branded with innuendo by Rob Northrup. This episode and all others are available on YouTube with automatically generated closed captions of dialogue. Visit thisguninmyhand.blogspot.com for credits, show notes, archives, and to buy my books, such as Sisyphus Eat Your Heart Out, available in paperback and ebook from Amazon. But go ahead and wait until the strike is over. What helps me escape from my neighbor's basement? This gun in my hand.